Hi, it's Dr. Rose Hollow. I'm a traditional naturopath here in Defiance, Ohio. And hello, welcome wherever you're joining me from. I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. And I should just mention before I get started that these videos are never meant to diagnose or treat anything. So if you need professional help, I encourage you to seek that out. So today I wanted to talk to about something that's very near and dear to my own heart and many of the people that I work with, and that is the connection between hormones and postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome and a lot of other issues. So what do these issues have in common? I have found for myself and many of my clients that potassium is an underlying issue, or a lack of enough potassium, or even something going on with the kidneys where our kidneys are dumping a lot of potassium at night. So there is some new research that's out showing that potassium is a really great treatment for premenstrual syndrome. We know that now, and we also know that a lot of us who are dealing with POTS syndrome are also dealing with some mineral deficiencies. Of course, magnesium is always one of them, and sodium, but another really important one is potassium. And something else that can affect the way we feel with potassium is a lot of fatigue. So that can also be an issue. So what are some signs of potassium deficiency? There are so many. So if you have a lot of PMS or PMDD or POTS or a lot of fatigue, those are the three main ones that I see. But it can also be bone and muscle aches and pains, especially in the lower back. If you find that your body feels very heavy and tired a lot, that's also a form of fatigue. That's physical fatigue. Shooting pains when straightening up after leaning over, or even getting dizzy after leaning over, that's a sign of potassium deficiency. We're not diagnosing it with this, we're just saying that could play a part in that. And that's also a symptom of POTS syndrome. So we have a lot of similarities there, including the dizziness and dull headaches that have to do with whether you're standing up, sitting, or lying down. If that changes and your blood pressure changes, that can cause a headache. You may see signs in your hair. I know that I have, and that's why I cut my hair, because I was having a lot of hair thinning and shedding with my struggle with POTS and Hashimoto's. So which potassium also is really important for thyroid health as well. Your eyes may tire easily. I know for me, I do have that problem if I'm looking at the computer too long or my phone too long, and light also tires my eyes out. For some people, it can come with some irritability, feeling impatient with your loved ones. As a mom, I think a lot of us experience that anyway, but if it's unusual for you in the past to have that issue, then that could be something to look out for. Your hands and feet getting chilled even in warm weather, and even with the slightest effort you can feel exhausted, you can feel upset easily, trembling easily, and some other illnesses that kind of go along with this could be arthritis, kidney stones, atrial fibrillation, adrenal deficiency or insufficiency, which is part of that whole fatigue spectrum, celiac disease, high blood pressure. For me, it's low blood pressure when I have low potassium, so that's an issue as well. IBS or irritable bowel syndrome, or things like ulcerative colitis, low thyroid or hypothyroidism, Alzheimer's disease, MS, lupus, myasthenia gravis, arteriosclerosis, diabetes, and stroke. And that list was put together by Linda Page, who is a naturopathic doctor and a PhD from Healthy Healing. So you can check her out if you would like to. So what do we do for suspected potassium insufficiency? The first thing I really like to recommend for my clients is that we do a adrenal cocktail. And you can Google adrenal cocktail, or you can do an internet search. And there are all kinds of recipes for adrenal cocktails out there. I personally, I'm too busy to make an adrenal cocktail every day, so I order an adrenal cocktail powder from Jigsaw that I like very much. It has the potassium and the salt in it that I need to deal with my POTS symptoms. And it also has a whole food form of vitamin C, which is a food-derived vitamin C, which is a lot better than taking ascorbic acid, in my opinion. So it's a really great product, and it supports our adrenals, and our adrenals have a lot to do with helping to support thyroid function and also combating fatigue and stress. So check it out. The brand is called Jigsaw, and if you are interested in the product and you would like a discount on it, please message me and I can get you set up under my Full Script account if you are in the United States, and you can order it that way as well if you're lazy like me. Okay, so another thing we can do for potassium is to drink bone broth, and it's really, really good for us. So there are all kinds of recipes out there for making bone broth. If you have a slow cooker like a crock pot or even an instant pot, a pressure cooker, it's really super simple to make bone broth. Bone broth is expensive to buy, so I really encourage you, if you think you're gonna do a lot of bone broth, to try to make it yourself if you can. It's very, very simple. Get your bones from grass-fed meats. So here in the Defiance, Ohio area, we have a local farm that raises grass-fed cattle, and I get my bones from them when I want to make bone broth. And when I don't make bone broth, I buy it at Meijer or from Thrive Market online. Thrive Market has an app, and it's like an online grocery store. So okay, so you want to make your bone broth, because bone broth, when we make it properly, we leach all of the beneficial minerals out of the bones of this animal. So we're getting a full spectrum of minerals. In addition to that, you add some potato peels and chopped whole beets and carrots. So those root veggies in there is really, really good for you. And onions and garlic. And then you put in a handful of dark leafy greens, and those can be any kind of greens that you like. So we think root veggies, and then toss in your dark leafy greens after you make the bone broth, and kind of make like a stew or a soup from it. And also, it's really important to remember to use only organic vegetables. We don't want to consume anything that's toxic or immune suppressive, like insecticides or pesticides or inorganic chemical fertilizers, especially when we're trying to help ourselves. We don't want to further bog down the process by giving our body extra work to try to get things out that we don't need. You know, we want to focus our energy on healing. And whenever we're doing this, we need to really limit our exposure to any kind of toxins that we can. So in addition to the recipe for this, I want to encourage you to go to a page on Facebook. It's called Take Charge of Your Health with Corrine and Carol. And they have a recipe for potassium broth on their page. And this is where I got this for you today. I make this by myself already, but I wanted it written out to read to you guys just for reference. So if you need that, again, it's Take Charge of Your Health with Corrine and Carol on Facebook, and their potassium broth recipe is on there. So something to note with the broth, anytime you drink bone broth, especially if you're new to it, it's going to help clean you out. So there's the GAPS, this program that we do sometimes with people that it's the gut and psychology syndrome, and the first step on it is to just do a day or 3 days of just bone broth, because it's so healing and so detoxifying, and it kind of resets your digestive system, but it will get things moving. So bonus for those of you who have constipation, it might help with that as well. So that's what I wanted to say about potassium. You know, I'm always talking about how important magnesium is over and over, but potassium is like my second favorite mineral, besides maybe copper, which I probably should talk a lot more about. But potassium is so important, and I think that adding a little bit more potassium to your diet may help you with some of your symptoms if you're dealing with some of those things that I mentioned earlier. So I hope that this information was helpful. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will try to respond to them as I'm able. Please like and subscribe. And please share this episode with anybody who may have overlooked a possible potassium issue. And I know this is going to be a question, so I'll answer it now. No, I do not recommend taking a straight potassium capsule. It can be very hard on your digestive system, so I really encourage you to try the Adrenal Cocktail if you can, and also try that recipe that I just recommended for the bone broth with root veggies and greens. All right, so that's it for now. I hope you all have a really, really great day, and here's to your health.